भद्रं कर्णैभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागं सस्तनूभिः व्यश्येम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवा स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमि स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Let us now pray together. We offer our salutations to the all-loving being who endows all beings with consciousness. We meditate on the Lord, who is the origin of the universe. Lord, Thou abidest in all. Thou art all. Thou assumest all forms. Thou art the origin and goal of all. Thou art the self of all. Thou art existence, knowledge and bliss. Salutations unto Thee. May the world be peaceful. May the wicked become gentle. May all creatures think of mutual welfare. May their minds be occupied with what is spiritual and abiding. May our hearts be immersed in selfless love for the Lord. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Let us close our eyes for a moment and feel the center of our consciousness in the heart. That center is ever present, never born, never changes, never dies. That is the source of immortality. That is the source of all bliss and love. Its infinite luminosity brings light to the world. Its infinite bliss is scattered in bits and pieces in the world. This center is divine. This is one without second. My goal is to manifest this divinity in life. Peace, peace, peace. Let us open our eyes and feel the same divine awareness in all names and forms that we see. Om Asatu Ma Sadgamaya Tamasu Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurmam Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Today we are to discuss a few paragraphs from the letters of Saint Paul or Apostle Paul. He was the first missionary fired with the zeal and tremendous conviction to spread the gospel, the divine message that would liberate a mortal being, and would be that mortal will become immortal by holding on to that message. Paul, as he was called then Saul, in English language there is a funny combination of P and S, like psychology, you know. So it is PS. So it is. So that Saul sometimes became Paul. How we don't know, just a change of language. So this Saul, he was born and raised somewhere in Asia Minor or Greece. He was very fluent in Greek and also Hebrew, and he was citizen of the then Roman Empire, and very staunch follower of the doctrine proclaimed by Moses, that it is the very strong Jewish beliefs were there, and he was keen to destroy everybody who does not abide by the strict law of Moses. Especially he was very much against these Christians who were not paying enough attention. Although they were Jews, he was not much upset with those who are Gentiles or non-Jews for not obeying the law. Because anyway, what do they know? But the Jews know. And so they must obey the law. And when he saw that there is lethargy or complacence in adhering to the law which Christians were exhibiting those days, It was early time when the Christians were coming up. He was born, Saul or Paul was born around the 5th AD, so or 5th of Common Era. So it is, as he became young, he saw there are many followers of this Christian faiths, and they were amongst Jews, and they were not adhering to the law proclaimed by Moses. And so he wanted to destroy them, kill them, teach them a lesson. So he decided once that there are so many like that in Damascus, and so started from wherever he was in Asia Minor to Damascus. And on the way, as he was riding the horse, he had a revelation, which he understood to be Jesus revealing to himself. Although it didn't reveal as a person. As per his description, the revelation was that of light. It is a blinding light that came before him, engulfed everything as it were, and then he saw in that light the purpose of his life, what Jesus has taught, everything he saw in that instant, and became a completely changed person. He took upon himself afterwards the spreading of the message of Jesus with very, very inspiring letters. His letters are so inspiring, enthusing the true Christian ideal and faith to people. It is full of the spirit of renunciation that and adherence to the message given by Jesus, that of love God. Jesus and Paul also mentions that many times in his letters, that it is the letter of the law. He didn't have to give up his adherence to the Jewish ideas because Jesus never denounced them. In fact, many of those, the central ideas are the same, and Jesus, what is told of the major idea in Christian faith, that love thy God by all thy might, by all that mind, by all your heart, love thy God. He actually is quoting it from the Hebrew Bible, or what is called Old Testament. So he is quoting from that. Also, he said the next sentence, as important a command, that also is from that source. He is not telling anything original, love thy neighbor as thyself. He is also just taken from there. And so, Paul also does not shy away from quoting from the Old Testament. He quotes freely from the New Gospel, but also from the Old one, because it is not that there is a disconnect. It is the people who don't understand, and so they say that that is bad and this is good. Let us remember here, as Vivekananda says, that I have that nothing, that I am not telling you anything new as such. Whatever is told in the Vedas, whatever has been told by previous prophets, I am telling you that. I have changed the language to be understood, that's all. It is the truths that were proclaimed earlier, I have given them to you in new words, that so that we may feel that, we may understand that. So that is the only new thing that comes. So, why this new thing is necessary? New thing is always, from time to time, necessary, because the old thing loses the capacity to deliver what it is supposed to deliver. Like we change our phones, the smartphones. So why? Because that old phone is not able to do what it is supposed to do. So we say, let us change that. So many machines we take, and then, oh, that is not working, that is having problem, this is to be. So you change that old thing. It gradually corrupts. That is the law of thermodynamics, as they say. Things gradually decay, gradually corrupt. So it is not the reverse. They don't get automatically new. It is that you have cooked some food, and then say a nice pasta, very nice, good to eat. I am telling about pasta because I saw that there was something cooked in the kitchen. So now you eat, now it is tasty, good. Leave it like that for 3 days, will you not even go near it? Oh my goodness, starts thinking. So that is how it works. Now if you keep that stinking pasta for some time, is it going to again become a good pasta? That doesn't happen. The change only happens in this way. So what you do, oh, that is all bad now, gone bad. You discard it, and with the same recipe or something similar, you make a new one. So it is something like that. The same message needs to be retold. What in Vedanta we call that the God has to come again and again to deliver that message in a way that now humanity can accept. So Paul was giving that message. He saw that that is his work. He was not taking any credit for himself. And that is what made his mission so very powerful. He ultimately, died in Roman captivity. Those days there in Rome, the Christians were terribly persecuted, and so he was killed there. And his letters form actually the bulk of anything that is written by a single author. Nobody has written in the Bible more than what this Apostle Paul has written. Those 13 letters, 13 sets of letters, let us say, they are for various different people living in different places where he had made churches. He made congregational churches at many places to make people come and get connected. So at many places he somehow built a church. There is a lot of this uncertainty about when did he come to Galilee or to Jerusalem, but he had an understanding with Peter. There was a kind of competition between them, that it is they challenged Paul's authority because he was not one of those original apostles. So he had never met Jesus. So what do you know? But then after all, meeting Jesus doesn't mean meeting some person. He met Jesus in true spirit, and that is most important. He saw that tremendous flood of light, that illumination. Just remember how Sri Ramakrishna first had the vision of Kali. Not a form, but a flood of light. So that was, and that flood, as it were, assimilated him. He fell unconscious. So Paul saw Jesus in this way. But then later on, there was a complete understanding, reconciliation, and it was decided that Paul would bring some gifts to the people there in the Holy Land from other places that he is going. So, but then other places also were not very affluent places. So it remains really unknown that what he brought to. In fact, it probably is that he took from Peter. That is why the saying is in English, rob Peter to pay Paul. It is not that rob Paul to pay Peter. So Peter must have been richer than Paul. So let us move towards. I have taken only very few excerpts because even to read the whole that mass of these letters, it will require about 4 or 5 classes just even to read. So I have taken some very nice excerpts. So the first in the not exactly in the chronology, but as it appears in the edition of Bible, that Romans come in the first. Although many historians say that it was he didn't go to Rome till about when he was 50, 52, then he went to Rome. So whatever it may be, but he begins with thanking God, or even when he is thanking others, he thanks them in the, as representatives of God, representatives of divinity. So this is the first letter. First, I thank my God through Jesus Christ for all of you, because your faith is proclaimed throughout the world. For God, whom I serve with my spirit by announcing the gospel of His Son, is my witness that without ceasing I remember you always in my prayers, asking that by God's will I may somehow at last succeed in coming up to you. This is his beginning, that this is, I remember God unceasingly and pray for you all unceasingly, and God is the witness for that. I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that have often intended to come to you, but thus far have been prevented, in order that I may reap some harvest among you as I have amongst the rest of the Gentiles. I am a debtor both to Greeks and to barbarians, both to the wise and to the foolish. Hence my eagerness to proclaim the gospel to you also in Rome. Is it a hint that he is calling the people in Rome as foolish? Certainly not. But then that is why he said my eagerness, because whether you are wise or foolish, it is, I am going to reap the harvest there too. It is, reaping the harvest means making people accept this and live their life by this divine message. So, for I am not ashamed of the gospel. It is the power of God for salvation to everyone who has faith, to the Jew first and to the Greek later. For in it the righteousness of God is revealed through faith for faith. It is written, the one who is righteous will live by faith. So he is appealing them. In the commentary, I read about this, that he is specially saying righteousness because the Greek believed in justice as the sign of God. Many wouldn't see God as such or think about it, but righteousness, the justice, is the visual, apparent manifestation of that God. There is justice. And so, now justice means, okay, let us have an understanding of faith, faith for faith. So, your faith in God and God's faith in you. You choose God, God chooses you. So, it is the mutual faith. So, faith for faith, as it is written, the one who is righteous will live by faith. This is again from the Old Testament. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and wickedness of those who by their wickedness suppress the truth. Wrath of God. What is wrath of God? Wrath of God is not that the God is going to do something bad to you. It is you are not having faith in truth. You miss the truth. And thus, whatever are the effects of holding to untruth will come to you. It is your choice that you have decided to hold on to that which is not true. You have decided not to go by God. And so, it is the wrath of God is not that sometimes it is shown in picture that the God will pick you and put you in the hell and the hell fire and all that, it is that is not what is meant at all. That wrath means, you see, you have chosen to hold on to that which is not true. And so, as you sow, so you reap. That is the wrath. It is you have chance to sow something good, you would have reaped good. But since you have chosen not to do that and instead sow something that is against the truth, you will reap that. So what happens thus? It's a very interesting thing, that what happens when we do not choose to hold on to God. And that is true for everyone, friends. When we do not choose to hold on to God or the truth, the two are actually same thing. What happens? That for what can be known about God is plain to them, because God has shown it to them. Ever since the creation of the world, His eternal power and divine nature, invisible though they are, have been understood and seen through the things He has made. It is what we see as the world is the glory of the God who shines through them. You may not have seen, like we have some very old pieces of carpentry, very nice artistic these cabinets, and then there is an The other day some guest had come and was examining the old organ there. Now, the person who made that organ, that whosoever is gone. But how you know the skill of that person? By looking at how this has been made. So, when by looking at this world, looking at ourselves and everything, well, the question comes, who made it? How it got all together? And so you know by the product that the skills, the glory of the person who made it. So you know that which is that sign of God you have seen. So therefore, you know that. You should have held on to that. Don't say that we never understood, we never knew. Where is the proof of God? That is a very eternal question that gets asked. What is the proof of God? Well, what is the proof of everything that is, that you see and consider is? It comes and goes. Who made it? Nobody made it. Who believes that? Actually, nobody really believes that nobody made these things. Because the maker cannot be seen by your eyes, and the physical science believes only in what can be seen through the five senses. It is, they say, that no, there is no maker of the world. This whole thing came together by chance. I have told this many times. Saying that this has come together by chance is, think about it, it only means in plain words, I don't know how it came about. An ordinary person will just say, no, I don't know how it came about. But a big scientist cannot use such words. What they have to say then? It all came about by chance. As if it is a great discovery that is being told. It only means I don't know how it came about. So, there is everything that you see, there is a manufacturer to that. So, this universe, it is a big, huge machine. See how, look at the regularity with which the things are seen. It is. So, it's a big machine. There are so many laws that are at work. So there must be somebody who made it, and look at the wisdom of that who made it. So this existence of this whole thing, that proves the existence of somebody who made it. Will you believe that who made this hall, who architect and who designed this? If I say, oh, it came just about by chance, you will not accept this. It is, you mean that the bricks and the wood and the steel all walked here on their own and then put themselves, that sounds stupid, you see. So it is, there is the God, this is the sign of God, we know it, and that is why nobody has been able to erase God from human minds. They may argue against it, but for eons, right since humanity is known, you see, there is some way of thinking about God, the truth or whatever, the substance. It is, there is that. So you see that, and then why do you disregard that? By disregarding that, what will you have? It is, for though they knew God, they did not honor Him as God or give thanks or to God, but they became futile in their thinking, and their senseless minds were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools, and they exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images resembling a mortal human being, or birds, or four-footed animals, or reptiles. Therefore God gave them up. Now what will you get by giving up the God? You get torments. You don't have to go to some place called hell. Here itself, what one gets tormented by lust of their hearts to impurity. You engage in all the lustful activities. They begin in torment and continue in tormentation and end in torments. What more hell do we want? The hell is right here when we don't hold on to the truth of the God within. Then this is what happens, that the lust rises up, insatiable. And what one tries to do to put it out, it increases it more. It is what we do is because of foolishness, what foolishness will a foolish person will do? Will you call it wise, Bernadette, if there is a fire burning and to put out the fire you put some gasoline on it? Not a wise thing, everybody knows that. But then when we get desires, if we pour the object of the desire into that desire, it is exactly being done the same thing. Putting fuel to fire instead of quenching the thirst or the lust, it just flares, makes it flare up further. And never this satisfaction in that. That is why Swami Vivekananda says, quoting from a Greek Greek mythology, there is the story of the hell of Tantalus. Tantalus he did many bad things and was put into a hell, a special hell. What? He was dipped in the water up to the neck. Water was there all around. He was dipped in the water up to the neck. He was not sinking. Somehow he was kept afloat. And then right around him there were nice edible things kept. Fruits were hanging from the branches. Nice things. He had tremendous hunger and thirst, burning with hunger and thirst. And to drink water, the water would just come, ha, 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 ha. But as it comes to the lips, it would start receding. Isn't it hell? There is the thirst, and all around there is the object that can quench the thirst, but you cannot get it. Same with hunger. All the fruits would come just near the mouth. No, gone. The fruit would be lifted up again. And this is the hell that we are in. In Jnana Yoga and in other places also, Swami Vivekananda describes What more hell? Is it not being barbecued alive here? It is in this you are made to run, chase that which is surely going to land you in more bondage and misery. Still, and that too you have to call it happiness, you see. They again means calling. You are compelled to call the slavery as very nice, and it is what a wonderful freedom it is. So that is what you get subjected to when you give up God. Leave God, and then okay, then this is what you have. It can't be anything else. So, therefore, God gave them up in the lust of their hearts and to impurity. To the degrading of their bodies amongst themselves, because they exchanged the truth about God for a lie and worshipped and served the creature rather than the Creator, who is blessed forever. This is a few extracts from the letter written to Romans. Then the letter to Corinthians. So there are the two, one Corinthian and the second this letter. They are long letters, and then just for reference, or maybe Paul himself marked them, and they are point by point marked. So it is, and he says to Corinthians, "Now I appeal to you, brothers and sisters, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that all of you be in agreement, and that there be no divisions amongst you, but that you be united in the same mind and the same purpose." That when you come together, that day your purpose should be same. Our purpose in life should be the same. It is being manifested outwardly in various ways, but the purpose is the same, the God. In our morning chanting, sometimes we take up this chant from the Rig Veda, Sangachadvam samvadadvam samvo manavsi janatam, that let us be united. United doesn't mean like getting united for some political movement or some so-called thing. This is today ultimate goal of life. That is the common goal to which we all are tied, sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly. But when we remember that, then the other differences fall away. They don't remain. There is otherwise differences. Everything is different from another. Every person is different from another person. They have different mindsets, different way of thinking. And yet, all of them have one single purpose in life, to hold on to God, to experience the glory of God. So that single purpose has to be held on to, and then there will be the unity amongst us. This is a very practical lesson, and this has been repeated by Swami Vivekananda in giving, the instructions to his brother disciples and disciples about having an organization, that the singleness of purpose, all of us, in spite of differences, should get united in this, because this is the common purpose. This should be emphasized. If you emphasize the other things, then the quarrels will have no end, because they are different things. two people can never think exactly in the same manner. And fortunately, they don't think is good, because thus we get so many different thoughts that can, be combined. So everybody should think differently, and yet the purpose should be the same. That is important. And it is, can you believe myself and our Sam think exactly alike? Then useless to have two people, just have one person. That is, Swami Vivekananda said, if our thoughts are exactly alike each other, it is worse than having faces alike. How nice will it be to keep on looking at the same face all 24 hours and 365 days? It is, the variety is there, variety is necessary, variety is an enrichment. But how do we then connect? We have the same purpose, and that will make this whatever church, any organization, stable, functional, successful. So this is what Paul said to them, that, and why should it be? Remember what I mean, that each of you, you may say, I belong to Paul. Groups get formed, that is the problem with organization. That suppose there is a big organization, subgroups get formed, parties get formed. I belong to this, I belong to this. The party leaders get formed. So, and thus factionalism. Everything gets broken into many, many factions. It is like that, those who come together for something, that some time back, many years ago, one Swami pointed it out to me, that in India, the Election Commission has declared the list of the political parties. All the political parties were given in that list, and it was published in the newspaper. So, and he said, look, there are about 18 communist parties in that list. Communist left, communist right, communist central, communist Marxist, communist Leninist, communist Marxist Leninist, and all different, so many. So now the communist, the meaning was to bring them all together. That is the meaning of commune, And then there were so many different factions there. And that becomes a bane for a religious organization as well. In politics, one can understand, because there is the selfishness that is on the fore. And so the factions, that kind of selfish politics is expected. But in a religious organization, the goal of everyone is same. I want to experience God in life. Now the differences are there. Now those differences are to be tied to the goal. They are not to be removed. They are the ornaments. They are all necessary. It is, yes, like you have all the different pieces of jewelry. Something goes in the ears, something goes in the fingers, something goes around the neck, and so forth. All of them are fine. They are different, but they have the same purpose of beautifying that one person. So it is like that. The focus should be that in God we are strung together. We are together there. So Paul, as a very practical organizer, presents this idea that I belong to Paul, I belong to Apollos, or I belong to Cephas, or I belong to Christ. Has Christ been divided like that? Was Paul crucified for you? Or were you baptized in the name of Paul? Remember what is the true inspirer for you. And then you feel that connection. For Christ did not send me to baptize, but to proclaim the gospel, and not with eloquent wisdom, so that the cross of Christ might not be emptied of its power. For the message about the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved, it is the power of God. And that is being delivered. Hold on to that power. It is, so that is where you have all come together. What you have come together in the name of Jesus, who, as this goes, was crucified for you. I didn't go to crucifixion for you, or nobody other else. That, remember, so go there. That is the source. So, for it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and the discernment of the discerning. A very powerful paragraph. I will thwart I will thwart the discernments of those who think that they are discernings. They are good at discerning. Where is the one who is wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the debater of this age? Has not God made foolish the wisdom of the world? For since in the wisdom of God the world did not know God through wisdom, God decided through the foolishness of our proclamation to save those who believe. It is, they may be foolish for the world, but those who believe God, they let the world call them foolish. Sri Ramakrishna was called mad by the world, for he is believing in God. Somebody, one very wise person who used to come to Sri Ramakrishna, wise means well-known person in the Brahma Samaj, his name was Shivnath Shastri. And he used to preach also at Brahma Samaj. He used to come to Sri Ramakrishna every now and then. But when he saw many are going to Sri Ramakrishna, he told, don't go much to him, He was a good man, but constantly thinking about God, constantly thinking about God, his brain has deranged. Sri Ramakrishna, when this Shivnath came again, said, what were you telling? By constantly thinking about the one who endows the whole world with intelligence, my brain gets deranged. And constantly thinking about money and lust and all that, your brain remains okay. So, it is what we call as very wise in the world. And we have a lot of, ego about how learned I am, how educated I am, how good I can do, how big this thing, I can make rockets and so forth. And what? It is God says, well, when the death comes, all of that becomes useless. God shows how foolish one is and how wise the one who was not thinking of one's own intellectual wisdom. He says, consider your own call, brothers and sisters. A very inspiring statement. Consider your own call, brothers and sisters. Not many of you were wise by human standards. Not many were powerful. Not many were of noble birth. But God chose what is foolish in the world to shame the wise. God chose what is weak in the world to shame the strong. God chose what is low and despised in the world. Things are not to, He chose that. He chose things that are not to reduce to nothing things that are. What a statement. He chose. He chose that things that are not, He chose them to reduce things that are, so that one might boast in the presence of God. So this is how everything is chosen by God. According to the strength of God we work. It is without that nothing works. There is that story in the Kenopanishad that at the end those were very powerful celestial beings who had defeated the other like that called demons. These are angels and they are demons, and the angels thought that, wow, how powerful we are. And then God decided to bring them down to the earth. There was one of them who was fire god. And then the god appearing before all of them in a very lustrous form, this fire god went to him to inquire that who you are. But then in the presence of that celestial being with tremendous luster, he could not speak. That divine luster just dumbfounded him. So then this God asked him, hey, who are you? The reverse happened, He went to ask him, who are you? But this God asked him, who are you? Well, I am fire and I am called Jataveda also. Oh, wow. But, well, tell me, what can you do? You don't know, I can burn this whole universe. Wow, great power. And then this God put down on him, put it in front of him, a dry, piece of hay. Hey, come on, can you burn this? Just for my curiosity. You can burn the whole universe, no doubt, but just show me that power by burning this piece of hay, small piece of hay. And this fire tried to burn it. That even small piece of hay could not be burned by it. Because that power comes through God. When that source is cut, no power. Like here, all these equipment, the light bulbs, the sound instrument, the speakers and all, the heating system, well, there is the electric power that is manifesting. If the microphone just says, hey, how nicely I work, do you see? Well, it is not your power. It is that power that functions through you. So, it is God's power that we are able to do whatever little we can. Let us not take pride in ourselves, but feel thankful for God, and that God made this as instrument of expression. Nothing belongs to really me. One has to keep on reminding, because something good gets done and our chest becomes, swollen with pride. Oh, I did it. You will go and tell it to everybody. It is. I don't want to boast, but it is. Yeah. So it is not our power. It is the God who manifests through us that power. So that is to be remembered. He says that is why everything becomes great, capable, only by the touch of God. Things become beautiful by the reflection of the beauty of God. Things become lustrous by reflection of the luster of the God. And the wisdom of God reflects through what is called wise. So it is. Then the last piece that I have chosen to quote from, that is from Thessalonians, one letter written to Thessalonians. You yourself know, brothers and sisters, that our coming to you was not in vain. But though we had already suffered and been shamefully mistreated at Philippi, as you know, we had courage in our God to declare to you the gospel of God in spite of great opposition. For our appeal does not spring from deceit or impure motives or trickery, but just as we have been approved by God to be entrusted with the message of the gospel, even so we speak, not to please mortals, but to please God, who tests our hearts. As you know, and as God is our witness, we never came with words of flattery, not to claim or get popularity. It is the plain truth. Those who give lot of promises, flatter others, they become popular. People come to them. But here, if you see in the Paul's epistles and the message of gospel, it is the great truth of about our true nature. And as Jesus mentions, that keeping aside the perishable things in the world and holding on to the imperishable God. This doesn't sound very pleasing to common ears. And so, but that is what is to be done. Popularity is not to be sought by true religious preachers. One Swami, a very senior Swami, had told me once, remember, popularity is the luxury that we Swamis can ill afford. Never think about becoming popular. It is just that thought will make you pander the taste of people, what that person will think about me, and let me please that fellow. No, pleasing the divine, pleasing the truth is most important. So this is the message given by Paul here. So it is just very small excerpt that I took for the discussion. But please read those great epistles and very inspiring spiritual message that we get from them. Do you have any questions? Oh, you have a question, Charlie. Okay.
How can you say that Paul came to eradicate differences when Christians persecuted Jews for thousands of years, they attacked the Muslims, and the Catholics and Protestants fought deadly wars against each other?
Well, that is a very good question. That is the big gap between the divine message and its misappropriation by the followers. It is what happens. This is how our crooked psychology works. That while Yogatmananda got the message and is preaching, somehow or other the idea comes up due to the inherent that weakness and ignorance that, well, let people glorify me rather than glorifying God. And then the Yogatmananda feels like that. Another fellow, like say for example, Charles Feldman also starts feeling that. And now what? Both are now vying for power, for recognition. So there becomes now conflict. It takes then those who were could not contain their greed. So that is how these things do happen. Yeah. There is that our in the corner. He is a reader of Paul's Epistles. Very good essay. I thought that you will make some comments. Yeah.
My question is, we observe that there is a periodic emergence of teachers of the same caliber in like Hinduism, who emerge from time to time to restate and reinvigorate. But we don't find a similar phenomenon in other religious traditions, where you have, saints of a very high caliber, but they don't seem to have that kind of power to influence such a wide audience. So my question is, how can we understand this kind of...
Well, the reason is that lack of philosophy, lack of a philosophical doctrine of these things, the mind that could think about these things in a generalized way, the power of abstraction and generalization accompanied with the power of deep analysis was you can say, hallmark of the Indian people of that time. And so they analyzed that all these different people come to preach religion, and they have a very special power. Their message is irresistible. Also, they don't seem to have any ignorance in them. So they therefore came up with this thought of that God incarnating again and again. Now for Christians, it is only one time in the whole history of this universe that Jesus came at one point and gave salvation. I had interesting conversations with many Christians on this point. That do you think it is, it could be correct that only one point of time that was very special and Jesus came and assured liberation to all? What about those who lived before Jesus? Would they not have salvation? Can you think of Buddha not to have salvation? How do you explain it? So many that being open-minded considered that this is not something that we can hold on to. There must have been great people who had preached salvation, gave salvation before that also. But to get a proper doctrine, what happens is for example, the Christian scriptures, the Gospels, they are like mythology rather than philosophy. And so there is no attempt to get at the analytical truth and to generalize that truth. That scientific method has not been applied there. So if that gets applied, it is very good. Like in India, you see, there are many Christians who accept Vedanta, only their Ishtam, their chosen ideal, is Jesus Christ. They are Christians, but they accept the doctrine of the same God reincarnating again and again to deliver the message. So, because of they studying the Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, they could feel this. So many they study Bhagavad Gita these days. One of my friend, clergy member, she is a minister in the Lutheran Church. She is very much, convinced of this by studying Bhagavad Gita. So, because Bhagavad Gita, you see that very famous statement that I had told this yoga previously, Krishna tells, but that got lost because of, misinterpretation and because of the greed of the people. Now I am telling you again in the new form, the same yoga. So that very being is now born as Krishna. And therefore Sri Ramakrishna said, the one who was Rama, the one who was Krishna, is now Sri Ramakrishna. And he had that tremendous vision of Jesus entering his own person. As he saw the picture of Jesus, he went into that deep trance, what is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi, that where all the distinctions just disappear. This universe, as it were, it disappears. Only the pure consciousness is pulsating. So, and then when he came from that state to the perception of these things, he saw that the Jesus is coming to him and that Jesus merged in him. So, he therefore could see that all that message is so true. He, although was not in the worldly sense literate, he quoted many times from the Bible. You read it sometimes in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Yeah.
He's got a question.
Okay, please. You have? No, okay. Okay, that behind you there is one guy. He also wants to ask.
So I have always this persistent question. I think I asked you in other forms before. So loving God and meditating on God and believing God, let's say this saint does that continuously somewhere in Himalayas, while everything else is around him. There are floods, there are forest fires, there are diseases, and the other person sees God manifesting in all these people, and by serving those reflections of self, he feels that is the way he should be realizing God, or that is what his duty should be, and he does that.
Yeah.
So who among these two is right?
Well, both are right. Both are right. It is the one who is just meditating in a cave. He does not become even aware of these floods and the miseries or anything, because he is merged in the divine bliss. He is not even aware of his own body. So there is no possibility for him to be aware of the people dying in floods or by COVID or whatever. The other person, he also is doing the same thing, but he is worshipping that God through various different forms. That is also very good. It is both are correct. One need not imitate other. Not that only one is right, the other is wrong. It is also not right to ask this question, who is greater? It is, both are equally great. They have different temperament, that's all. So, but one thing is that it is very good to practice the art of seeing God in everyone. One has to develop that art actually through meditation. It is, otherwise one sees only the flesh. We do not see the God within. So that is why it is those who are meditating, those who have seen God, otherwise also they are able to serve the suffering people much better than those who are only philanthropists. They are doing good, they run a Red Cross society or whatever. Good thing. But that is not spiritually the same thing. Yeah.
Do you have a question?
Huh?
Do you have a question?
There is, no, he says he doesn't want to. He took back his question. Anybody in the web?
No, Maharaj, there is no
Okay,
question.
okay. So, coming week, it is full of many programs. Next Sunday, it is a whole day worship of Holy Mother. It is the birth anniversary of Holy Mother. So since 11 a.m. in the morning, we will be having various ways in which Holy Mother would be adored and worshipped. So there will be the ritual worship at 11 a.m. Then there will be in between singing and flower offerings. Then there would be the offered food will be taken by people. There will be a video presentation. There would be symposium on the life and teachings of Holy Mother. And then there will be the Sankirtan on Holy Mother. Before that, coming Friday, there is the celebration of Christmas Eve. That is 24th of December at 7 p.m. The program will begin. Many of you might have attended it in previous years. It's a very serene program. We have a short worship. Then there is the reading from the Sermon on the Mount, reading from Imitation of Christ, and reading from a portion of Swami Vivekananda's biography, which tells that how that Christmas Eve was connected to the formation of the Ramakrishna order. So that is on 24th. So, and 21st, we will have our regular Tuesday class on Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play. Every day, morning and evening meditations will continue as usual. I'll conclude with the closing prayer, and then there will be Arati. May the divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.
ornament our world. Consciousness is your form. Your eyes always purified by knowledge. Your eyes always purified by knowledge. Looking at them, illusion is gone. Ocean of shining love, devotees, your feet always dear to your devotees. Form a boat to cross this world. Reveal to us as God incarnate and the Lord of all things, helping us join with you. Your mind's always set in the divine light. Your mind's always set in the divine light. This we can see through your grace. Destroyer of our worldly sorrow and compassion soul, infinite is your work. Your lives offered for the world's deliverance. Your lives offered for the world's deliverance, saving us from darkness and fear. Renouncer of all lust and lucre, wherefore you were always swirling sensual life. Lord of monks, you are the best of men. Lord of monks, you are the best of men. Grant to us pure love for you. You're fearless and you're free from doubting, with your mind very firmly resolved. Causeless refuge of your devotees. Causeless refuge of your devotees. Renouncing caste and birth. Our treasure is your holy feet, which take us very soon across this puddle of life. You give love and even-sightedness. You give love and even-sightedness to remove our anguishing. Our treasure are the basis of hope. Oh Lord, yet you are the basis of hope. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heart's cave. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heart's cave. Darkness is destroyed by your light. Oh Lord, darkness is destroyed by your light. De langa ranga bhanga, these are all the sounds of Vedanta. De langa ranga bhanga, these are all the sounds of Vedanta. Spiritual songs devotees are singing for your worship divine. Spiritual songs devotees are singing for your worship divine. Jaya Jaya for your worship divine. Hara Hara for your worship divine. Shiva Shiva for your worship divine. Breaker of all our worldly bondage and adored by all, we adore you too. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji ki Jai. Auspicious and blessed, graciousness sublime, all noble ends you give to us, granting us refuge, all-seeing Gauri. O Mother Divine, our love to you. Creation, preservation, dissolution are your powers, eternal one. Nature's real basis, nature's essence. O Mother Divine, our love to you. We come seeking refuge from anguish. Be our Savior through your deep concern. All our suffering remove, Goddess. O Mother Divine. Blessed Mother Divine, our love to you. Blessed Mother Divine, our love to you. Jai Shri